Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss horror. And I'm so pleased to announce that I finally have seen The Black Phone and I'm here to talk to you about it, as always, spoiler free.
It's coffee time!
So you guys know that I have been expecting this release for a long time and I've been seeing the trailer for months and it has been a torture waiting for the movie to be released here in the Netherlands. The official release date here is 28th of July. I was able to watch it on the 24th, so a couple days early on the premiere. And I also checked for funsies when Nope is coming out here, which is the 18th of August. And I'm gonna be on holiday, so I'm not even gonna be in the country, so who knows when I'm gonna be able to see Nope. So yeah, that sucks for me. But anyways, I'm here to talk to you guys about The Black Phone. If I loved it, if I didn't love it. As always, spoiler free. I know that there's already a lot of reviews out there because I have not been able to watch it earlier, so I'm trying to make it, you know, quick and sweet today. The Black Phone is an American supernatural horror film directed by Scott Derrickson, and it is an adaptation of the 2004 short story of the same name by Joe Hill. The film stars Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw, Jeremy Davies, James Ransone, and Ethan Hawke. I really always have loved Sinister, so I was extremely excited of this reunion of Scott Derrickson and Ethan Hawke, and I believe the writer or the co-writer is also the same for both, so I was like having high expectations. Also, obviously, because I do like Joe Hill as a writer in his stories, and I just could not wait to see what they did with this one. Again, as a fan of Sinister, I was really excited. This is a great, you know, kind of a period theme because it takes place in the 70s, and this is such a bone-chilling story. And it combines more conventional horror themes, you know, like your typical true crime, serial killer story with supernatural elements that added a lot to the story. Basically, the story by Joe Hill, The Black Phone, is really short. I believe it was only like 40 pages, and it talks about the grabber, who is a serial killer that kidnaps children in small neighborhoods, and those kids are never to be found again. The fascinating thing about this is that he always kidnapped children in like broad daylight, and it's all really fitting to the 70s as well, when these type of things used to happen, sadly, more often. And I have to say that the short story didn't give us much information. It was really short, so I was kind of scared to see how they were going to do a full-length film with this like short, like limited material that they had. But I am pretty pleased with all of the things that they added and how they, you know, decided to expand the story. When Finney becomes the next captive held in a soundproof basement, he begins to receive phone calls from the grabber's previous victims through a disconnected landline. The dead are set on making sure that what happened to them doesn't happen to 13-year-old boy Finney. So our main character are this brother and sister, Finney and Wen, and I really loved to see their relationship. And these two kids have two things that they are scared of. One of them is the grabber. They are kids that have been already abducted, kidnapped in the neighborhood, and they are reminded by this with posters that are hanging everywhere in the village of the kids that have been abducted. And apart from that fear of, you know, encounter the grabber and being taken, they also have a lot of struggles at home because they live with an abusive dad. He's not the best. I really hated the character, which I feel like it was the purpose. He's somebody really despicable that you're supposed to really hate, and that is the feelings that you get. So obviously this brother and sister have so much going on in their lives that is dark, but somehow they still have this beautiful friendship, and I really love to see that. And my favorite character in this movie was Wen. I really liked her. Madeleine McGraw played this character so well. There is many scenes where it's just her, and you see her struggling, and you see her going through a lot of things that are showing so much mature acting, and I just felt like she was fantastic, and hopefully she'll have a brilliant career because I feel like she's one to watch. So we have here the themes of, you know, children taking care of their parents because their parents are shit, and we have the theme of, you know, kids raising themselves because that's basically what happens here. This brother and sister are supporting each other. They're raising each other basically because their father is like non-existent really as a father figure. And the bond is even stronger because the kids also have to deal with some bullying at school. So there are so many dark themes portrayed in this film. There is a lot of violence when it comes to the bullying that it is being portrayed in the film as well. And you see again brother and sister sticking up for each other. So I feel like because we have this bond between the siblings and we see them struggle with so many different things, that the story feels just a lot more powerful because they already had so much going on for them that was negative, that was dark, and then the grabber comes into their lives and takes Finney. And this is a movie again that is based on the 70s, so we had that stranger danger thing going on where people were scared about, you know, certain vans going through, like people being kidnapped, like the neighbors whispering, the boogeyman, all of those things. It was a really scary times because back in the day there were serial killers abducting children, like Gacy I feel is one of the most popular ones. And Gacy is a figure that has inspired other works already, like Stephen King's It, and we see also a little bit of that inspiration here in this film. When it comes to Ethan Hawke and his character, which is the grabber, and I believe Ethan Hawke said in an interview that he was not sure that he wanted to play a villain or that he could play a villain, but let me tell you, I think he was fantastic as the grabber. And the grabber is a very interesting character because he has kind of like two personalities. One of them is more like a childlike, kind of like going through trauma. Like you can see that something probably happened to him as a kid and that's why he's doing the things he does now. And then he has a more evil, darker voice, and you can see that when he changes moods. When he is in this kind of childlike mood, he has a higher pitch voice, and when he is really pissed, then he has this really low tone. And for most of the film he's wearing this mask, and the mask changes a little bit as well. I don't want to reveal too much, but I feel like they played a lot with that and with his kind of like duality as a character, this double personality thing. And I have to say I really enjoyed it because it made the character a little bit unpredictable. The only thing that I would criticize here perhaps is that we don't really get a full-on backstory on Ethan Hawke's character, the grabber. We don't really get to explore, you know, what happened to him, what is he doing this thing. So that is something that I was left a little bit, you know, wanting more from. We are in Denver in the 1970s, so when it comes to the colors and stylistically, the film is kind of a more nostalgic, kind of looking like a vintage photographs and more of a yellowish brown color, some oranges. And the only thing that adds a little bit of color to the film is the blood moments and the police lights, which make those scenes a bit more intense and horrific. And a lot of times it felt like looking through old photographs, so I really enjoyed the cinematography as well because I felt like they did a really good job with, you know, picking up what they wanted to do, like with the style and sticking to it. I also really liked the basement design and how they did the colors of the walls and everything. I thought everything was just, you know, that there was an attention to detail when it comes to the color palettes and things like that and the sets, and I really enjoyed it to see all of that. I also really enjoyed the score that went from more like upbeat 70s music to more like sinister beats that really prepared you for the scares. At its core, this is a movie about good and evil and the battle between them, and it is a story about redemption. And for me, it was a very satisfying story about, you know, redemption and becoming powerful. There's also a lot of trauma in the film that we see some of our characters go through and work through it as well. So I feel like there is so many little things in this film that I would already, you know, love to rewatch it. Now let's talk about the horror. Now, I think for me personally, the horror felt a little bit more, you know, of a secondary thing. I feel like this movie was more focused on our characters and everything that they had to go through and their personal battles more than the horror. Now, there are two types of horror in this film. There is some blood and gore that was satisfying, but most of the horror in this film that you're gonna see, it is more based on the supernatural. Through the phone calls that Finney receives, he's going to be connected to the dead, and those are going to be calls that are gonna help him and us as the audience to try to figure out how we can help Finney get out of that basement. And I thought that was really engaging. I thought it was really well done, and I really enjoyed it. I was kind of expecting the next goal and see what they're gonna say, what we could do, and it was kind of a little bit you know, entertaining in the way that it made you participate in a way, because you were also considering which options Finney had. Now, this movie has something that I normally don't like, which is jump scares, but I felt like they were well placed. They're not too many, like there is not like one jump scare every 10 minutes, and I felt like the way they did it, it was effective. I was sitting in the cinema, which is one of the things that I really like to analyze when I'm in the movies, because when I'm at home there are some jump scares that don't work for me because I kind of feel it because I've watched so many movies. And I can tell you, in the cinema there were like a couple of jump scares where people lost their shit. Like, people screamed and I was happy, I was smiling because I was like, yes, it's working. People are jumping in their seats, like it's great, you know, like, but it didn't have the same effect for me. But then I can see how other people react, and I can tell you that the scares worked in this film. However, there is one scare in this film that I thought was a little bit taken from Sinister. So kind of maybe a little bit recycled idea, but honestly it didn't even bother me. So at its core, The Black Phone is a story about resilience, about redemption, more than a horror movie, but I absolutely loved it. I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5. I do know it's not perfect, but I really loved it, and it's definitely a movie that I would rewatch as well. I'm really pleased with how they decided to take this short story and turn it into a full-length film. I think it really did pay off everything that they added. At the end of the day, this is a part supernatural and part serial killer story, and I really liked how they integrated those two subgenres of horror for this short story and how well it actually worked together. Now, I cannot go much into detail about how everything is combined and everything that actually happens, you know, because it will be spoiler territory, but I was really satisfied as a viewer and as a reader with the end product. I think it has things that make a good horror movie, which is a good villain with a great mask, and you have a heart in this film. You have also a quite satisfying ending, which is not something that happens every time, and I know that for a fact because my boyfriend, who comes with me to everything that I watch, bless his soul, he normally complains every single time about the endings of the movies. He always has a problem with it. And in this case, he said that ending was satisfying to me. And I was like, what's happening? So I know for a fact that apart from me, other people find this ending quite satisfying. I really liked how they wrapped up everything. I was really satisfied, that's all I'm saying. So anyways, you guys, before I keep rambling around, let me know down below if you watched the movie, if you enjoyed it, what you thought of it. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thank you as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!